Say it with me now, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Happier Hour. I'm your host, Grayson Ozell. Folks, I'm a day late, okay? Like a menstrual cycle that leaves somebody thinking that they have the possibility of being with child. I am a day late. I apologize. I have been very, very busy, okay? And I get it. I know what you're thinking. Being busy is not an excuse. Folks, let me walk you through the past week that I've had since posting the podcast, okay? Um, Last week was the 30th. Since the 30th of April, this is the week that I have had, okay? Last podcast episode goes live on April 30th, okay? That afternoon of the 30th, I guess the day of the 30th, actually, not only do I'm in New York working out of the Manhattan office. Shout out to the Manhattan office. You guys are cool. Um, I might have an office crush. Might have an office crush. Who knows? I don't really know. Okay? I don't know anything about anything. I'm pretty sure my coworker out of Philly is trying to set me up with her. All right? I think that's the case. Anyways, so I'm in Manhattan on Wednesday the 30th, okay? I work a full day, okay? In between working a full day on my lunch break, I do a street style interview, which I will get into the one that was posted by Crosswalk Crush in just a moment. But I did a 30-minute, more like 45-minute street style interview. So I'm sprinting there, sprinting back to the office so I can keep working. Got all these project meetings. On the 30th, I find out my childhood dog has to get put down. My childhood dog, shout out to Trigger, who has been on his last legs for quite some time. He's a trooper, all right? He was hit by a car in his time. I'm also drinking a beverage. I'm going to pour one out for Trigger here, but I'm going to pour it into my mouth, okay? This one's for Trigger. Childhood dog. I got him when I was 13, 12. I got him when I was 12. I was the one that when we went to the shelter, the animal shelter, I was the one that when we got there and we were looking at the cages, the cages that the pretty little dogs are sitting in, I was the one that was like, hey, what if we got that dog, pointing to Trigger? I was the domino that first fell, okay? This guy stuck around in our life. He had anxiety, horrible anxiety. Hey, that's man's best friend. If he's got anxiety and he's man's best friend, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my fate? Obviously, it's not going to end well for me. Nevertheless, he was 13 years old guy, all right? He got hit by a car when he was like 5 or 6, okay? I watched him when we went to the animal hospital, you know, he got hit by a car. He got hit by a blue Toyota Tacoma that didn't stop, by the way. They drove their happy ass down the road, acting like they didn't just almost ruin my childhood. Burp alert. This episode, folks, it's gonna be a whole lot of all over the place. Okay, that's okay. You know what? For my sister watching this or listening to this, that's the theme of the podcast. It's me all over the place. Okay, my apologies, but that is what I'm going to do. I'm looking at the volume meter. I've been screaming this entire episode, and I apologize. I'm gonna back the microphone away a little bit. Anyways, me being all over the place is the purpose of the podcast. That's what it is. That's what it means to me. And that's what I'm going to settle with. I haven't shaved in a while. I look like I have a 5 o'clock shadow. Maybe I can actually get into a bar for once. Let's go back to the dog getting hit by a car, all right? So we're in the animal hospital. This little guy's probably 5 or 6, total trooper. He's on so much pain medicine that he can't process anything that's happening around him. I'm watching blood flow out of his nostrils and mouth, okay? I'm like, hey man, this is traumatic. This is a bit traumatic for my whatever 15-year-old, 16 year. I was 16 because I remember I had to call out of work, and I had to work that afternoon that the dog got hit by a car, and I called my boss knowing she's a dog mom to 2 dogs, and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. I never call out of work. I never take sick days. I will work. I was one of those kids in elementary school. I got a special award. I got a special award when I graduated from 6th grade because I had never missed a day of class from kindergarten to 6th grade. I was that kid. Not because I loved school so much, because I had horrific anxiety. Horrible anxiety. I thought if I missed a day of class, I would miss a year's worth of lectures. And I would get behind in the homework and the notes, and that gave me such terrible anxiety. I was like, hey, even if I have the influenza, even if I have the swine flu, I'm sticking it out. I'm hanging out. All right? I'll sit in the back of the class. I don't care. I'll sit in the corner, isolated, as long as I don't miss my lectures. And so I had to call my boss, right? Shout out to Pump It Up. All right, this place is a cesspool. I don't know how I didn't come down with hand, foot, and mouth disease working at this place. Called my dog loving boss, and I was like, hey, my childhood dog, practically at this point, my own flesh and blood just got hit by a car. Do you mind if I take the day? And she was like, yeah, of course. And so I'm in the animal hospital watching my childhood dogs, something I've cuddled with my entire life, blood seeping from his nostrils, seeping from his mouth, as if he was a zombie from the movie Sinners, which I haven't seen, but good golly, Haley Steinfeld, yummy, if I may say. I don't even, oh yeah, so it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, and I don't mean to chuckle at the fact that my childhood dog passed away, but he did. There's a motorcycle right outside my window right now. You're probably going to hear that in post. Anyways, childhood dog passes away. So that was a real bummer. I was literally in the middle of a project meeting on a meeting where they were basically telling me that I'm taking too long. This design is taking me too long. The schedule's not working out. And so I'm basically getting reamed out on a freaking project call. And I look down at my phone, and my sisters, we have a group chat, and they text me. They go, "Hey, mom and dad had to put down trigger today." And then, funny enough, after that, already sad. I'm literally crying on the subway. I have to go film a podcast. I have to go film a podcast where I talk about my relationship life, my dating life, which is already abysmal. So not only am I crying on the subway ride, this is at 6 p.m. in the afternoon at this point in New York City, and I also have to commute back home, right? So it's 6 p.m. I do the podcast. It's great. The hosts are amazing. I've done a brand deal with them. It's the people from First Rounds on Me. It's a dating app, and I'm crying on the subway there, and then I'm literally just standing outside the podcast studio waiting because I was a little early. And I'm just waiting to go in essentially. I always get to places 15 minutes early, and then I hang out by the entrance until it's like 5 minutes to go because I don't want to be late. I have anxiety when it comes to being late to things. Are you guys picking up on a pattern here? Noticeable anxiety is how I would sum myself up, right? Crying on the subway, and then I go and talk about my abysmal dating life, which is so much fun. And then, I do the podcast for an hour. It's like 7:30. By the time I get home from New York, it's like 10:45 at night. That was Wednesday. Thursday, I have to go into the office in Malvern for some reason. I forget why, but I did it. I went into the office. Friday, what's going on Friday? I don't have it written down. I had to do something on Friday. Saturday, I did nothing. Okay, Saturday, I sat around. That's actually not true. I apartment hunted for hours. I apartment hunted for hours. Still don't know if the potential roommate that I have is still an option. She's going to visit New York in a couple weeks, and I'm going to meet her there. And we're going to, potentially look at some places together. Nevertheless, so Saturday I apartment hunted all day. Sunday I worked at the vintage store like I usually do. I put in my 2 weeks there. Um, and then last Sunday, oh, also, I posted 3 brand deals this week. That's a lot. Okay, you don't understand what goes behind the scenes for those is you have to submit. This all happens within a week too. So while I'm working all these hours at my job, I have these brand deals going on, and don't get me wrong, it's a 35, 45 second video, but like you have to meet with these companies, meet with these brands. You have to submit a written concept of like, hey, this is what I'm going to do that takes some sort of thought because they give you a list of like, here's what you should mention. here's what we want you to mention, here's what you have to say, and then it's like, here's what you can't say. And so then they're like, you should post, we want you to post in a way that's comfortable and reflective of your style of content, which is literally just me sitting down and doing, not like just shooting the shit, for lack of a better term. And so I'm like, all right, how do I make this funny? How do I make this relatable? And how do I make this about the brand? Because for every brand deal, it's must mention the brand within the first 10 seconds. And so it's like, I did this one for this one brand deal, this Korean skincare. I posted the brand deal by now. Excellent product. I will never recommend something that I myself don't use or I myself don't think is a good idea. For this Korean skincare product, it's quite literally, I mean, it's hard to tell because I'm breaking out on my cheekbones. And I have an ingrown hair on my chin, which is really pissing me off because I can't get it. I can't get it with the tweezers. I just want to do that. And so, what was I even talking about? Oh, the brand deals. So for this Korean skincare one, they're like, hey, we want you to start this video out how you normally would start a video. And so when I was writing the concept, I was like, I will start the video how I usually start the video. And the way these brand deals work is like you meet with the company, they go over the campaign, they send you a brief, which is literally just like, here's the deliverables, here's what you're gonna say for, like, here's who you're gonna tag, here's the captions you have to include, here's the hashtags you have to include, here's the what you can and can't say, and then all this legal jargon about like, so and so will do this, so and so will do this, so and so will do this. Anyways, and so I in the brief to the skincare, I say I will start the video how I usually do because that's what they included in their brief. And so when after you submit the brief, it goes through rounds of revisions where they're like, okay, from your written concept, we don't like this, we like this, we want you to change this, we want you to tweak this, I need you to mention this or whatever. And so then you get the concept back, you make the written revisions again, you submit it to the brand, they say, okay, you're good for concepting or proofing. Proofing is a word they use, and essentially you just have to, hi baby, meow meow. I hope you guys can hear that. Miso's down here. Ooh, I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna stop. I'm so sorry. I will talk about that. I started going to the gym. I'll say it now. Get right off the rail tracks or whatever. I started going. I have no hobbies. Absolutely none. I've got zero hobbies. This is a problem of mine. And so I'm like, all right, instead of drinking all the time, which, hey, here we go. So instead of drinking, I'm like, what could I do? And so me and my roommate, we have this contest where whoever goes to the gym more in a month wins the bet. And then there's a punishment. And so I started going to the gym twice a day for like the last like 3 weeks. And I'm seeing like a little bit of results, and the narcissistic side of me is like, yo, I'm freaking jacked, dude. I'm freaking jacked. In a way, in a sense that like I'm douchey enough that I'm like I'm gonna post a day in my life video tomorrow, or I'm gonna film a day in my life video tomorrow because I'll cover that. I have to go to New York tomorrow. Anyways, and I'm like, in the morning, I always, after my shower, I always put on my outfit for the day, and I'm like, people are gonna see how jacked I look. I literally look no different. There's not a noticeable difference in how my body and physique looks from months ago, from years. Burp alert, from years ago. From years ago when I was in Alki, right? And so, anyways, this brand deal, all right, I go to proofing where I have to actually film the video that's gonna become the brand deal that you see on the other end, on the back half that gets posted to the feed. And for this brand, I feel so bad. They were like, just start the video how you usually would. So as soon as, for some reason, when it comes to brand deals, I'm not creative at all. All my videos for brand deals suck. They all suck. They're bad. And so as soon as I bring the phone up, I go, so I was sitting in traffic the other day, and this is why you should use skincare. So I submitted that to them thinking, oh, it's perfect. It's exactly what they were looking for. That's exactly how I would start my video, even though I've never done anything remotely close to that. And they're like, hey, the start of this video is not what your usual content is. Try again. And so anyways, I said all that just for the purpose of this week's been busy, because not only have I had all these things that I'll talk about, I had 3 brand deals. So that's three, Hi, baby. Come on, get up here. Come on, come on. There she is. Maybe you'll see her. And so I had three. Sorry, baby. I had, you know, three, three briefs, three written concepts, three briefs, three written concepts, three proofs that I had to send. For one of them, it had to be two videos and three stories. So I had to, come up with essentially double everything. So essentially four, I guess, for lack of a better term, four in total. Everything's been posted now. I apologize for posting so much content, but that's been, taking up a decent amount of time because like I have to, I have a manager and she kind of keeps track of the deadlines and schedule and here's when you need to do this, here's when this is due, here's when this is due, and so she's been helping me with that. But um so not only do I have that going on, and then also on Monday one of the posts had to go live, Sunday one of the posts had to go live, yesterday um at a company that involves partners where like some of the higher ups in the company have ownership in the company. They own shares and stakes. They become what's called partners. And this week at our office, the partners from the entire business unit, which is all of the offices in the Northeast, they are meeting in our office every year. They have a partner week where they talk and talk about the new fiscal year and all that. And every year it switches offices, and this year they're here. And so I work with partners all the time. They're in charge of essentially large scale projects and they're the relationship side with clients and stuff like that. And so, Misa, you gotta lay down, baby. There you go. Thank you. Um, and so I've worked with partners all the time, and they're like, hey, they hit me up. They're like, hey, I'm going to be in the office this week. People I've never met before in person, but I've worked with before. I've been on project calls with, teams calls with. They're like, hey, I'm going to be in the office this week. Let's meet up. Let's hang out. Essentially, let's shake hands. Essentially, that's all it is. It's like a 5 to 15 minute conversation. Oh, what are you working on? Oh, that's cool. It's nice to see you. It's nice to meet you in person. Ah, la la la. And so I had to be in the office Monday through Wednesday of this week for that. And those are typically long days. A, because I work long hours, and B, because I want to impress the partners. I get there before any of them, and I leave when after they leave, or I leave. I don't leave until they leave, so they see that I'm in the office. Not because I'm trying to manipulate them and anything like that, but I want to show them that I work hard. And so yesterday I had a meet and greet with a couple of partners that I've worked with before, and today we had a technical fair and internal happy hour, which essentially is just people present on like large scale projects or projects that are with large clients. I didn't present, but people and projects that I've worked on were presented for the as part of the technical fair. So I went and watched those and asked questions, and it was cool to see like the backside of things where it's like, this is the business part of it, and I'm seeing like how the designs I've worked on get implemented and like how they work into other groups at the company is pretty cool. So that was fun. But that was what I had today. And so, yes, I apologize. I was supposed to go to a book signing for my friend yesterday. I couldn't make it because of the partner meeting. That was supposed to be in New York, but I had to be here in Philadelphia for, going into the office and meeting with the partners. And so I literally didn't have time. I got back last night at like 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I was exhausted. I wanted to go to the gym. Today I was going to go to the gym, but as part of the internal happy hour, I had a beer before I left, and I was like, all right, I'm probably not going to feel like going to the gym. And so I didn't. Um, so all that just to say, I'm sorry for posting a day late. We are now 20 minutes into the episode. I apologize. Miso, get up here. Let's see if you want to get on camera, baby? I want to show her on camera, but unfortunately, it just doesn't really work out with the sizing of the camera and such and the spacing. Anyways, so I apologize again for posting a day late. That was a long-winded answer for that's why it's taken me so long. But nevertheless, what else did I do? So tomorrow, I have a YouTube creators event. I got invited to a YouTube creators event in New York, so I'll be up there working out of the Manhattan office. That's after hours, so I'll work a full day. commute in the morning, work a full day, go to the YouTube event, commute home, get home probably at like 11:30. And yeah, so I got that going on tomorrow, Friday. So this will be posted tomorrow on the 8th. Friday the 9th, I've got a game night at my buddy Colin's house. Shout out to Colin. I know you don't listen to this because you hate me. Just kidding. I don't think he likes podcasts in general, but really excited for the game night. It's going to be relaxing. And then Saturday, I got invited to the Webby Awards. They're hosting a creator like town hall workshop event that I'm going to on Saturday as well. And then I got to come back to Philly for a birthday in the PM of that. And then Sunday, I got to work my last shift at the vintage store. So that is all to say. I'm very, very busy. So I apologize if things don't come out on time. Also, posting on Wednesdays sucks because on the weekends, I don't ever want to do anything. I'm so tired from the week. I'm exhausted and I just never have enough time in the day. And then like Mondays and all right, Miso, she's like standing right in front of my computer. Um, and then Mondays and Tuesdays, depending on how the day goes, by the time it's time to record, I typically am very exhausted. So I'm sorry. Um, the First Rounds on Me podcast that I did last Wednesday was a lot of fun. Like I said, we were talking about like relationships and stuff like that, talking about dating apps and, dating in modern society and all that. And I was providing my expertise, although it's probably not expertise. It was kind of fun. They were like asking me about like my social media history and like content creation and, how I got started. We played a couple games that were a lot of fun. So that probably won't come out till the end of May, but I'm looking forward to that. That one was a fun one. And then I also have to film another podcast last week, but that one's in Philly with my friend Sid. And then also on Wednesday of last week, I want to talk about the Crosswalk Crush thing. So I did a street style interview with a social media friend of mine named Fia. You guys have seen I've reposted on Instagram and TikTok. Essentially, it's just a street style interview where they ask you questions about like your dating life and like a couple of bad dating stories, and then Fia, the part of the show is she answers whether or not you're for the streets or whether or not you're dateable. And it's a bummer because like we talked for like 30, the actual interview itself is like 30 minutes. It's like a 30-minute conversation where you ask questions, you go back and forth. Me and Fia essentially just like banter or whatever, right? We banter for a hot minute. And then they have to condense that down into 1 minute. And it's a bummer because, like, don't get me wrong, I think the final edit was great. I think it was hilarious. But there was so many things from the actual 30-minute conversation that, like, oh, I thought they were going to include, or like, oh, I thought that was a funny moment. I thought I gave a funny punchline or whatever. It was good banter, stuff like that. So a little bummed about that. But at the same time, like I said, they did a great job. And that was a lot of fun. For some reason, when that got posted, I felt like very insecure about myself. It's out in the open, and we were also on the corner. I won't say exactly where, but we were pretty close to like a modeling school. So there's just hot people walking back and forth in front of you while you're talking about how undateable you are. And so that's a bit intimidating. And then also, like, it's windy outside, and my general facial structure, I've talked about this before. My head shape is the exact same as the state of Nevada. All right, I don't know if you can see, it's pretty flat, and then it goes up and then up and then flat again. And so I just, when it got posted, I was really insecure about the way I looked in it. I thought I was very ugly, and it happens to the best of us. I felt very insecure about the way I looked and felt very ugly. And so when it got posted, I was like, dang, I don't feel attractive right now. And some of the comments were saying that too. Some of the comments were like, he's acting different when he's in a conversation with somebody. Obviously, all my content is by myself. You've never seen me in a conversation with somebody. So like, what if I would say that that's how I normally am in conversation. But when I'm on my own, especially like, that was the first time I've ever met Fia in person. So it's like, you have to talk about bad dating stories, talk about like, going on bad dates with somebody you don't really know. And you also, like, there was no cursing allowed. So like I had to like say bad things that have happened to me without cursing. Otherwise it was unusable. And so I apologize if that came off in a way that's not reflective of how you picture I am. But like, I promise you, that was like a pretty good, especially if you watch the podcast. I feel like that was like a relatively good um, zoom in on my life and like how I am as a person. I'm sorry that I wasn't depressed and an alcoholic on a street style interview when we're talking about my bad dating stories. Um, but but yeah, that was some of the comments, and it kind of not like irked me or pissed me off, but I was already feeling insecure about the way I looked, and then I saw that and I was like, oh, people don't like me. so so anyways, but that being said, I did another street style interview for it's called Are You I won't say much about it, but it's for the same company that hosts the Crosswalk Crush interview. And that's, I don't know when that's coming out, but that one was a lot of fun. I did that on Wednesday of last week. That was before I found out that my childhood dog died. So I was a bit more chippy in that one, a bit more chipper, a bit more happy, a bit more outgoing. Um, and so I'm excited for that one to come out. That one went really, really well. The Crosswalk Crush one went really, really well as well. So I'm excited to see, how that edit goes, because I think that one is kind of similar. It's around a minute long. But yeah, I don't know how those people do it. I don't know how they take a 35-minute interview and then condense it into 1 minute. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, I also this last weekend I didn't mention this, but on Saturday I I did my first. I brought up on a previous podcast episode that I wanted to do my own style of like weekend update where I would take news stories and then I would give myself an hour to write jokes about it, and then the length of the video was entirely dependent on how many jokes I was able to write in that 1 hour, taking any kind of news stories. I tried that this last Saturday, and the video the video is about 5 minutes long. It's horrendously not funny. Like I do, don't get me wrong. There's a couple of jokes in there, but like the presentation to give myself an hour to write the jokes and then like rehearse one time and then hit go and just be like, all right, this is this is what happened to the economy today. So if you guys want to see that, I can post it. I have the video. Don't get me wrong. Like at one point, I randomly break out in a Kermit the Frog impression. I talk about the Met Gala. So I can post it if you guys want me to. It's not perfect. It's not polished. It was fun. I did have a good time. I listened to one piano song on repeat for an entire hour to help me focus, write some of the jokes, to help me focus and write some of the jokes, is what I meant to say. And then, yeah, the video itself is like 4 minutes and 50 seconds, I think. And like 30 seconds of that is me being like, welcome to Last Week on Saturdays. And then, like, I do a little intro. And then at the very end, I'm like, thank you so much for watching Last Week on Saturdays. I'm your host. So if you guys want to see that, I can post it, but apologies in advance. It's pretty bad. I talk about the economy. I talk about Donald Trump and how I compare him to an ex-girlfriend, which is kind of hilarious. And then talk about the Met Gala. Obviously, I do a Kermit the Frog impression, which is so horrible. I talk about Star Wars. I make like niche Star Wars jokes that nobody's gonna understand unless you're like a mega fan of Star Wars. So let me know if you guys want to see that garbage. Um, and that actually kind of brings me to my next point. What do you guys I hit a point last week where I'm like, dang, I'm starting to get bored of just posting this just the podcast on the YouTube. I really want to expand the YouTube, but I don't know what you guys want to see. I know you say long form day in my life videos, but I don't have a camera yet. When I get one, I will try to do that. But like, what kind of content do you want me to like react to videos on the internet? To be honest with you, I don't know how to do that, but I can learn. I certainly can learn how to do that and spend my Saturdays doing that. Or when my Sundays open up and I move, I can maybe record on Sundays, and that will replace like what the vintage store and what I do then. But let me know what kind of like content you guys want me to do in order to expand the YouTube. And then to build on top of that, I'm getting kind of bored of just posting the same style of content on TikTok, where it's like me, I give myself 30 seconds and I'm just like observational humor, joke, punchline, whatever, or relatable thing here, insert relatable quote here, and then put a funny spin on it or something like that. Like, I'm just getting kind of bored of that. I don't find the content that I post funny anymore. I don't know if that's just because I'm getting bored of it or I'm getting used to it. Um, or if it's because like I just don't think it's funny. I don't know. But let me know your guys' thoughts on like what kind of new content you want to see from me, whether it's like, going back to posting the cocktail making videos, or doing more lifestyle content where it's like day in my life. The problem with the day in my life videos is that my life is very competitive, repetitive. Monday through Friday, I'm doing the same thing. I wake up, depending on, if I go to the office or if I work from home, I work 8.5 hours, 9 hours. I go to the gym. I watch a TV show with my roommate, and then I go to bed. Like, it's very repetitive, and that just is going to get boring. Um, it might be relatable for those of us who work a 9 to 5. It's not going to be like those influencers that are like, wake up with me at 5 a.m. to go to a Pilates class, and then I'm going to go shopping, and then I'm going to get coffee, and then I'm going to go to this restaurant, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go home. Like, it's just, I don't know how many people do that for their full time gig Monday through Friday during the week to pay the bills. It's just, to me, it's not very relatable. I have friends that do that kind of content, and that's maybe it's not, that's not what my audience would pay attention to. Maybe that's what their audience would pay attention to. So I'm not going to knock it, but to me, it just doesn't seem very relatable. And that's where I'm trying to fill this void that I have of like, what kind of content do you guys want to see me post that is different from my short style comedy videos or short style, little quip videos. I'm not going to call them comedy anymore because half the time it's just something relatable. Like I posted something yesterday. What are your 20s supposed to be for? And it's like I presented it in a funny manner, but like at the same time to me it's just like it's not there's no there's no setup and punchline there. So, I don't know. Just let me know what you guys in the comments. Let me know what you guys want. What do you want from me? Hmm. I don't want to see some dumb shit like starting OnlyFans. I don't want to see that. That pisses me off so badly. Makes me so mad. Um anyways, but yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. Um I going back to I had a long week. I finally talked to my group about moving to Manhattan, or that's where our office is. Moving to New York so I could work out of the Manhattan office. Interesting conversation there. I could tell, uh, people are on my team, like in the sense that like they got my back. I mean, my supervisor, she works out of the Manhattan office. Um, and so there's not really an issue there. It's just with the larger group. I just don't want anybody to like have a grudge or think that like, you know, I for some reason I hit a point in every podcast while I record, and this is totally just separate from what I'm trying to talk about here. Every time I record this podcast, I'm like, man, I had all these funny jokes that I wanted to say, and I pre-gamed all these bits that I wanted to bring up, and like it's weird. I talk about like how this is therapeutic for me because I this isn't stuff that I talk about, in my day to day. But I hit record and then all of a sudden I want to talk to you guys about these things. Um, it's this podcast for me. I want it to be funnier, and it's so hard when all I do is talk about myself. How do I present this? I am going to talk about the Met Gala, and that's where a lot of my pregame bits are from because I think it's a stink convention. I think it's just and I'll get there. I think everybody there smells like fart and BO, and I'll explain why. I'll explain why. Um, but yeah, I just hit that point right now where I was like, man, this is not funny. All you're doing is complaining about your busy ass life that you are doing on your own. Like you decided to do this. You elected to do this. You are reaping what you are sowing. Anyways, I did recently get well, let me finish the story. All right. So brought it up with my team for the most part. My supervisor she got my back about it. She's like, yeah, I don't see why it would be a problem. I don't really go into the field all that often, and if I do, it's pre-planned. It's not last minute. Even then, we have sites all over the Northeast. chances are I'd be closer to the sites that we have in New Jersey and equidistant to the sites that we have in Pennsylvania by living and working out of living and working out of New York. Um, I gotta stop recording this podcast so late at night. That's why I always yawn and I feel bad. Oh, speaking of, no, it's not even remotely close. Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast sent me. Mr. Beast sent me candies, little peanut butter cups. It's a good thing I don't have a nut allergy. Oh boy. These are actually, this is not sponsored. These are fire. I hate that I got sent these. I was not expecting these to be good, and I was hoping to trash on them. They're so good. All right. Um, it's unfortunate that I love them so much. I will literally eat like 50 of those in one sitting. I have three of them. I have three of them off camera waiting for me for when this podcast is done. That's my dinner. This is my girl dinner. A Miller Lite and actually two Miller Lights and three Mr. Beast peanut butter cups. And technically, there's two in each package, so that's six. If you guys are mathematicians out there, that's six Mr. Beast peanut butter cups waiting for me when this podcast is done. And so I talked about it. I talked about it with my project team. Um, I can tell that the group lead, it's hard to read him sometimes because he's a very smart, very intelligent guy, and he loves what he does, and he likes working out of Philly. And you can tell that like his bias is that the Philly group is the best, the Philly office is the best. Um, and also they don't know about my social media. That's one thing I have not disclosed to any of them. For those of you who know, or maybe you don't know, I go by a different name at my job, at my engineering job, so they don't find me on the internet. Some of them obviously know because like I've popped up on their For You page. I've had project managers that I never talked to come find me in the office and be like, "So I was on Instagram the other day," which is an uncomfortable conversation, and I prefer to never have it. But which is why I don't tell them because I don't want them to have this predisposed opinion about me that is only reflective of what they see online. When in reality, I'm a very, very hard worker. I would like to think that I pick up on tasks well. I think I'm a solid engineering worker. And so I don't want them to be like, who's this dumb idiot that complained? Who's this dumb, depressed idiot that's an alcoholic online? And then I see him in the office and he doesn't say a word. He doesn't step out of line. And you can clearly tell that he's going to follow every single rule. Um, and so I can't really tell them. The whole reason why I'm saying this is like, I can't really tell them that, like, hey, I want to move to New York because it's going to help my social media career. Um, because they don't know that that's a thing. And so I have to be like, hey, I want to move to New York. Why do you want to move to New York? It's just calling my name, man. Well, this is going to complicate things for the group, right? I apologize for that, but this is my calling. New York City, baby. The Big Apple. I need to be there is engineering to be done there, and it is I who will do it. That's how I feel when I talk about these things. And I can tell the group lead is a little you know, not concerned by any means, but like I can tell like I just don't want anybody in our group to have like to hold any sort of beef with me and be like, "Why'd you leave?" I still want to work with the group. I still want to that's the plan is to be in the group, do all the same work and work with the same project teams that I am right now, but just work out of the Manhattan office or be based out of the Manhattan office and visit Philly when we have quarterly meetings and when we have end of the year meetings and all that jazz. But yeah, so that was certainly an interesting conversation. Um, but anyways, next thing I want to talk about, so there's this thing called Nowadays, and again, these are not sponsored. No one in hell is going to sponsor this damn podcast because 5 people watch it. Which, by the way, the numbers keep growing. Thank you so much for watching. I need to say that. I know I joke about nobody watching this, and that's just because that's my anxious mind being like, nobody's going to want to tune into this. But a lot of people do, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I want to do something fun for my 10,000th subscriber, but I don't know what to do. I ooh, con- happy congratulations to me. I hit 50,000 streams, not YouTube views, on the podcast, which is like kind of a big deal, you know? That's, I got that notification on my phone the other day. Um, I have a website that I essentially, the way the podcast works is I record the video and then I upload it to this uh, platform, and then the platform distributes it across like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And they sent me a notification. They were like, "Congratulations, you hit 50,000," which is a lot. 50,000 streams in it of itself is crazy. Majority of the views come from YouTube. So thank you so much, guys. I seriously, like, I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in to me just like rant about dumb things that I go through and cry and all these, me drink on a podcast. um, so thank you. And so I started drinking these things called Nowadays, which are THC infused beverages. I don't really drink alcohol that much. I know I'm drinking alcohol right now, but that's because I didn't need, hey, let's take a step back. In the words of my old therapist, you don't need it. You got to get out of that mindset of needing it. You don't need it. The needing is where the shakes come from, all right? That's a physical need. I don't physically need it. I wanted to have a drink, and so I had a drink. And the problem with those is they take so long to like take effect, and I have to wake up to go to New York tomorrow. I have to wake up at 4 in the morning. So it's already 9. I'm rocking 7 hours of sleep at this point, if I were to fall asleep 10 minutes ago. And so what I'm trying to say is they're not new. These THC infused drinks. I'm not a weed guy. I've never been a weed guy in my entire life. I've when I was dumb, stupid in high school, I tried it once or twice and I hated it. I never liked it. I never did it enough to become anything crazy. But these THC infused beverages, they are so relaxed. I mean, I'm an anxious guy. I talk about it all the time. I'm anxious. I suffer from anxiety. I panic about everything. I stress about everything. Practically everything makes me nervous. And I have these THC drinks, and I calm way down in a way that not even the alcohol can do. And so that has been helping me out a lot. I don't drink them often. I'll have maybe one or two a week, and it's just one drink. It's literally just one drink, one beverage, and then it takes like an hour to take effect, which is kind of a bummer, because it takes pretty long, in my opinion. Whereas alcohol, you can slam 2 beers in 20 minutes and start to feel start to feel the effects pretty rapidly, um, which is not something I do. Of course not, folks. Come on, I'm good. I'm good about it. Um, And so that's been my new fascination is these THC infused beverages from Nowadays, and they have this like cocktail mix that you can like pour a shot of and then mix it with any beverage of your choice, which been doing poppy. Oh my gosh, let me tell you guys a story. The thing about me, I have IBS, all right? I am constantly squirting out of my butt, not in a nice way. I'm talking like disgusting in a way that like you would question your own bowel movements type beat. Okay. And so these poppy drinks, for those of you who don't know, it's like prebiotic soda, which is essentially just like gut health soda. and so and so I've been doing these THC drinks where it's a THC cocktail, and I mix that with a poppy. It sits like a rock in my stomach. My stomach, instead of just like letting all of the food and everything I eat, which typically happens, just immediately sprout out of my bottom, and just, I'm talking the fountain of youth spritzing from my rear end. Okay. So instead of doing that, right? Instead of doing that, um, it it essentially plugs a cork in my system. And so instead of just like completely shrapneling all of last night's dinner constantly, it plugs my system. And after an hour, I start to feel the effects of the THC. I start to get relaxed. I start to get all giddy and happy. And then in the morning, when I wake up, that poppy uncorks itself. And I'm telling you, it's not a pretty sight, it's not a pretty sound, it's not a pretty smell. And that's all I wanted to say. Actually, the real reason why I brought up the THC is I I don't know if I accidentally mixed in more of the cocktail than I usually do, or if I was just like, maybe it was, I was my physique, my body was like physically susceptible to it at that point, the THC. I got rocked. My ass got rocked by it. I was like sitting on the couch and just like laughing. There was nobody around. I was just laughing. And I, don't get me wrong, I talk to myself and I laugh to myself constantly, so that's not like a unusual thing. But I was doing it in a way that like I was like, my eyes are basically closed shut. I'm like, it was insane. I got rocked by it, which was fun. It was a lot of fun, because at that point, my roommate and his girlfriend, and his buddies, his college buddies, who they went to a Kendrick Lamar concert in Philadelphia this week. They were around. They were hanging out. Sorry, I'm like scratching my back. I'm like, my back's really itchy. I didn't put any lotion on as soon as I got out of the shower, because after this I got to shave before going into the Manhattan office tomorrow, because I don't want them to think I'm disheveled based on the facial hair with which it presents itself on my face. Uh, anyways, uh, um, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, they came home and I was high as a kite on the couch, accidentally. The purpose for me drinking these THC drinks is not to get high as a kite. It's literally so I can relax and calm down. My body can have like a just a deep breath out. So I was feeling the effects of the THC, and my friend Mac, who is was my friend before becoming my roommate's girlfriend. So it's like, I don't know if I should call her my roommate's girlfriend or my friend. But anyways, she was laughing at me because I was laughing at nothing on the couch. That was a fun moment, that I wanted to talk about on the podcast because I thought it was funny. The Met Gala was this week as well, and this will be the last thing I discuss before closing out for the most part. Um, the Met Gala was this week. I had this conversation with my coworkers today. For the ones that know about my social media presence, because they were talking about how influencers got invited to the Met Gala this year, and obviously I am light years away from ever becoming an influencer enough to the point that I get invited to the Met Gala. Certainly not for fashion. I mean, I'm wearing joggers that don't fit. They are essentially capris at this point, and a plain brown shirt. The joggers are not a complementary color of gray. Okay, they're like charcoal gray. I'm wearing no socks, but slippers, brown shirt. My waistband, or my waist string is tied. Anyways, the point being, I'm not a fashion guy. I've never been a fashion guy. I don't understand fashion. The Met Gala doesn't make any sense to me. They're like, oh, is it in style? Is it in theme? I got no idea. And so my coworkers were talking to me about this today, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this as well. Like, there's a lot of, and Coachella was the same way this year, where it was under a lot of scrutiny, because it's like, it's just rich people and brands promoting wealth, essentially. Like, it's like, you look at the dichotomy between, is that the dichotomy, is that the right word to use, the juxtaposition, maybe. Oops. Dichot Yeah, the dichotomy between like a traditional or non-influencer trip to Coachella, where they have to, I'm pretty sure like they stay, like for the most part, a lot of them, like a lot of people will stay out in a parking lot in like a tent. And then you see like these influencers that get invited to like these villas by skincare brands or makeup brands that you've never even heard of, or like boutique clothing brands that you've never heard of, and they're like staying at like these five-star hotels or five-star Airbnbs. And then you see people that are like literally waiting in like a 2 hour line to use an outhouse, essentially, or a porta potty that has had some serious damage done. It's a porta potty that looks like it has been through Nam, in the sense that it has been through me drinking a poppy and then unleashing my cork in the morning. That's what it looks like. And so there's this like I think there's this trending feeling towards things like the Met Gala and Coachella where it's like influencers are ruining it because they're showing a side of it that is not accessible to everybody. And so the point that I'm trying to get to is what me and my coworkers talked about today was like me being a content creator. I'm not going to call myself an influencer, but like a content creator, like if I ever got invited to the Met Gala, would I go? Um, and it's one of those things where I don't really know the the just part of me wants to think I would say no, that I would say it's like it's a gross over exaggeration of wealth disparity between the ultra rich and people that are not ultra rich. Part of me wants to think that it's like just it's quite literally like the Pan Am, the capital of Pan Am, from Hunger Games, where it's like you got these people wearing ridiculous outfits. What, in my opinion, as somebody who has no sense of fashion or no taste in fashion, wearing ridiculous outfits, attending a night of like finger foods and alcoholic beverages, where it's literally just hot, rich, famous people go to these things either with a partner or they go to hook up with somebody who is also rich, hot, and famous. And so part of me is like, if I were to ever be invited to that, the just part of me is like, I would say no. But then the curious part of me would also want to be like, what if I just experienced this one time? And then the nervous part of me is like, if I were to get invited, would I become so engrossed in that lifestyle that like that takes over and I'm like, I want to keep going to this stuff. Um, so not saying it would ever happen, but I do think the answer I have come upon for myself, the answer that I think is both valid in my feelings um and I'm talking like this is going to happen. I'm manifesting this. I'm speaking this into existence. Cut to 15 years from now when I finally achieve enough internet clout that I get invited to the Met Gala and it hasn't been turned into some dumb thing. Um, that like if I were to ever get invited to something like the Met Gala or an event of its grandeur, where it's like hot, rich, famous people go and get made fun of by like middle class, lower class people like me, where like I'm sitting at home seeing updates of like, oh, this person went to the Met Gala, look at what they're wearing, and I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like who cares, like I can't I my rent's going up again. Why do I care about this person wearing a $40,000 suit for one night that was curated for them and then it's never going to be used ever again? It's going to be sold either to somebody who's a collector. um Anyways, and so the answer that I've come to is if I were to ever get invited to the Met Gala, I would go one time. I just made fun of the event for 50 seconds straight, and then here I am being like, yeah, I would go to a gross over exaggeration of wealth disparity in our country. I do think I would go one time to simply see what it's like. I don't know how many people I would talk to at that point. If I were to get invited to the Met Gala, I would probably be in some sort of sphere and know people that are going to the Met Gala. Um, and I don't know how I would feel about it, but one thing I noticed this year and one thing I read was that Timothy Chalamet, I try not to like gas it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I, I have come around on Timothy Chalamet in the sense that I find him very, very inspirational. As a man, as somebody who is like dedicated to their craft. Like he has proved to me in the last year or so, and I'm not trying to gas him up, I'm not trying to dick ride, but like he's proved to me in the last like 2 years that like God, he's admirable. He seems dedicated to what he does. He has a very refreshing take on himself, on not taking himself seriously, on his public image. He takes his job very serious. He wants to become an incredible actor. Um, and he went to the Met Gala. He's probably been in the Met Gala more than once, but he didn't go this year because he didn't want to miss the Knicks game. Like they're in a playoff basketball game. That's the kind of attitude I want to have towards it. Like maybe I get invited more than once, but like being invited to the Met Gala one time, sure, I'll go to experience it and see what it's like, and maybe tell my friends and family about it if that's allowed. They probably have you sign NDAs. Um, But if I were to ever be invited to the Met Gala, I would go one time, and then after that, I'd be like, all right, it's not. I think for me, a lot of the stuff that I'm curious about, like Coachella or getting invited to events, like the reason why I want to go to them so badly is because I've never experienced it. I've never experienced stuff to that caliber or that level, and I just want to see what it's like. And then in the future, if I ever get invited back, if I enjoyed it, hey, I enjoyed it. But like, I want to just figure out what it's like before I'm like, hey, this shit sucks. Like I trash on Coachella. I didn't get invited, so I didn't go. But like maybe I would find it fun, but like maybe I wouldn't. But I won't know until I go and see it. And so yeah, if I ever get invited to the Met Gala, I'm gonna go one time. Sorry to burst everybody's bubble, but it is very easy to make fun of. It's one of those things. I reposted something on TikTok the other day where I was like, why the hell do I care about these rich celebrities dressing up in fancy ass suits that I don't understand? When there's in my life, I'm experiencing so many different things than these people. Like I am seriously concerned about my financial stability when it comes to moving to New York City. I have two streams of income when it comes to engineering and social media, and I'm still terrified of whether or not I'm going to be able to afford a place. I have to like figure out what it means to live within my means. And then like you have people that are wearing things that are quite literally encrusted with diamonds, and they're doing is like going to an event that lasts 2 hours and then an after party where they're probably going to do copious amounts of drugs that people are in jail for. Like I don't know, it's a weird mindset to have where like you know I don't want to close myself off to any sort of invite to something that might be incredible, but at the same time I'm like, when you got so many people like me who are just experiencing the worst things in life, like is that really where my priority should be? And that's the kind of internal battle I have every single day about like content creation. Like, am I deserving this? Probably not. Is there somebody out there who deserves it much more than me? Of course. Um, so the pregame bit, the pregame bits I had about Met Gala, I got a little took a little serious turn there, which goes to show you the character of my nature. All right, serious guy at heart, really, truthfully. No, the Met Gala has to be the top five stinkiest things that happens in all time because here's my thoughts. You have all these people, you have all these celebrities that are wearing quite literally every time I see one of the outfits for these events, it's like 15 layers. It's like a long cape attached to like a four-piece suit and like thick ass trousers, and everyone's wearing a hat. What are you wearing a hat for? Everybody's caked up in makeup, everybody's hair is done, they've got like greasy hair. It People have to be sweating. It has to smell like BO and Funyuns in this event. Like it has to be disgusting. uh like am I is that hypothesis correct? Like you have all these people. It's New York City, right? New York was 76 degrees the other night. Philadelphia is 75 degrees right now. It's 9:30. This event went on forever. Okay, New York, it's humid as shit. It's got to be 60 to 70% humidity and 76 degrees. These celebrities are human. They have to be sweating. They have to have BO. It has to smell like Funyuns and swamp ass at this event, is my hypothesis, okay? And then they go to this event and all they're doing is eating finger foods that are probably like something fun or exciting or whatever. It's like uh omakase sushi and like different cool, maybe like bacon Brussels sprouts. I don't know why I think that that's like a rich person food, but bacon wrapped dates or whatever. And so they're just eating these little finger foods, and obviously their stomachs are upset. Half of them are on Ozempic, anyways. And then they're also drinking constantly. They have to have the bubble guts. I guarantee you it smells like farts and BO and sweat and swamp ass at this event. It's hot as shit. It's humid. They have to be sweating. That's the only thought I have. Anytime it's like over 70 degrees, the first thought I have is all right, well, I have to sit down. I have to find a way to cool down. I'm going to need water. I'm going to need some sort of beverage because like I'm going to be sweating. my first thought whenever I see these events and people are wearing 40-piece suits or long ass dresses that are thick as shit and they've got 50 layers on them, they have to be sweating. There's no way they don't have swamp ass. So like my hypothesis is that the Met Gala smells like stinky ball sack. My hypothesis, spoken from a true scientist, is that the Met Gala must smell like a guinea pig enclosure in the sense that it smells like rotten like hay and like stinky pee covered little rodents and fart gas because all they're doing is eating little nasty little finger foods and drinking alcohol and conversing. Everybody's breath has to smell like shit too because they're drinking alcohol. um yeah, the Met Gala has to stink. That's my hypothesis. And you know what, folks, if you had 23 if you had, what a way to end the podcast. If you had 23 bad hours today, I hope the hour you spent with me was a happier hour. I love you all. Good night.